In this lesson, we will look at functions call, that how it is done and how our arguments can be passed in it. For it, I have a small code, and in that code I have a function add, which we have used in the first lesson, which is performing the computation of sum of two numbers. The point at which I have to call this function and perform operations on the variable as computation. At that point, I have to do call of this function. First thing, call a function will always be done after the definition of the function, and second thing, while doing function call, the name of the function will be written first, and as many numbers of parameters were passed in the definition, that many numbers will be passed as argument. If I lessen its arguments, so in that case it will generate an error. What error will it generate? That in add function the number of parameters are less as compared to parameters. So it has told that number of arguments are less for f position. To cater it, it is essential to have as many parameters as arguments. E will handle the value of A. F will handle the value of B. We will get the sum, and after the results are printed, at the same point the code of a program will move to the next line, and from there the control will start to execute. So it printed 70. If we want to check if the control moves to the next line or not, we can add any check statement here, on the basis of which we can check it control that after controlling the result, when the control will come back, it is printed hello in the next line. Till here was how was the function calls. After function call, if we want to print a value in the body of the function, we can do it there. Secondly, if we want to print the value at the point where the function is called, so we can return it back at that point also. To return it, we have the return keyword. As soon as function call will be done after function's call, both arguments as a parameter will pass. Parameters, after performing its operation on it, will return back one value. At which point the function call was done, at that point our result will come after being computed. And now if I will print sum 1 here, my computation result, which will be 70, will be printed. One thing to consider here is that at a time a function can return a single value. It can't return back multiple values. In the next lesson, we will discuss that if we have to return dictionary or list or sets, how we can return them. The main usability of function was that it would bring back our code to reusable form, that how we can use a code multiple times if we have to. Now I have done function call twice here, because I had to compute the sum of different variables twice. First time I had A and B, and second time I have C and D. If I have to compute the sum of C and D, so for it I will again have to write the sum of code, on which my result will be computed. But in function I wrote this code once, and now how many times, how many parameters arguments I have in the form of 2, or in the form of ordered pair. I can perform the addition operation on them. First, if I have to perform addition on A and B, I will pass A and B as argument. It will return the result after computation in sum 1. After this again, function call is coming in the next line. We have called the same function, but now our arguments are different from last time. This time it will perform the same computation on C and D, and after performing computation, will return the result back in sum 2 variable. And if I print these two, both the results will be printed, which indicates that I have reused the code twice. The third mistake that is done here is that A and B are passed as arguments, and we try to pass the same variable with the same name and try to use them. But I think that Python provides this facility also, that you can use the same variables, but the rest of variables, rest of programming, sometimes an error is generated here, that you cannot pass the same variables as argument. Here it is being computed correctly. Here at one time return statement will only return single value. Here it is being computed correctly. Here at one time, return statement will only return single value. It is a key point to remember that we cannot return more than one statement in a function. Till here was our function call, function reusability, what are functions, what are the components of function, what are parameters, what are arguments, and to work function or define, how functions are defined in Python language. We also did its example, and we also understood its workflow diagram.